Ahoy there! This is Chief Bones, and welcome to Maiden Voyage of the RFS Lazo. So Maiden Voyage, this is going to be the video series where I do my first play on a new ship, and I give my immediate impressions of these new ships. A lot of the ships that I'm going to be doing have been around for a while, so technically a lot of them aren't actually going to be the Maiden Voyage, but that's okay. That's not really what this is all about. Today we're doing the RFS Lazo, and this is a brand new Soviet era ship that came out during the Soviet era event and is available in the reward section of the Soviet era event for right around 1,500 requisition tokens or allowance tokens, whatever they're called. These, of course, can be gotten through the completion of daily tasks and quest lines and getting the Soviet-era containers, either the free ones that come through completing missions or through purchase of the premium version of them out of the premium shop using doubloons. I do not believe they can be purchased with straight cash. Anyway, so the RFS Lazo is a light cruiser of the Soviet Navy, and it is an interesting beast. I don't really like most Soviet ships, and I've been trying to become better at gunboat play because I wanted to be able to play destroyers besides my preferred jack boats and torpedo boats. Because I've seen some people have some pretty monster matches in, the Kaaba and Tashkent and Leningrad, etc., etc. But I tend to not be very good with them, although I have had some pretty decent games with La Terrible and with Anshan. But the Russian cruisers tended to be kind of boring to me. I mean, they're real. The real flavor is basically they have laser beams, railguns. They fire these super fast, low trajectory shells and just punch through things. They don't have those big, lofty, floaty shells that, like, say, the Americans have. But there are two notable exceptions. The first, of course, is Kutuzov. The RFS Admiral Kutuzov is a floaty, long range cruiser. I mean, it has battleship range and smoke, and it's been known as an annoying pain in the butt to other cruisers because it can really kite and really hide and shoot over rocks and shoot at long distances well out of the range of other cruisers of the same tier. The second, of course, being this beauty right here, the Lazo. The Lazo is a peculiar creature, though. It doesn't play exactly like the Kutuzov, right? It doesn't have smoke, and it doesn't have sonar or radar or whatever it is the Kutuzov has. I think it's sonar. And its torpedoes are significantly worse as far as range goes. But as a tier 7, there are no cruisers that can kite anywhere near as well as this one, because this ship has a base firing range of 17.3 kilometers, and the shell arcs are a little floaty, but they're still quite nice. And the ship itself it's quick. It's not super fast, but it's quick. And the turret rotation is quick. I mean, you can kite all day and all night with this thing. And the fire as it starts, not terrible, not great, but not terrible. If you put IFHE on there, it'll do a whole lot more significant, consistent damage. But even without that, it's still enough to harass and hassle capital ships at range or other cruisers at range. The destruction of destroyers is a little more difficult because the shells are more floaty than your standard average Russian cruiser. But I mean, it's really fun killing these ships and harassing these ships at long range. And a lot of these cruisers, they can't shoot you back. And you know, that's the base range of 17.3 kilometers, right? You also then add your spotting plane, which adds significant range to that even. I mean, we're talking battleship range. We're talking the kind of range that you have with like a Yamato or a Musashi, comparatively speaking, not directly, but comparatively speaking. You're in the Lazo, and you can cover 2 capture points in a map without having to leave an area that's too particularly far from your starting point. This thing is a brilliant harasser. Now, trade-offs to that are, of course, it is lightly armored. It is a light cruiser. It is a CL. Getting hit feels like getting hit in an American cruiser. You take a chunk of damage. You can angle okay and bounce some things, but you're susceptible to taking big chunks of damage to not perfectly angled hits. A lot of overpens happen with some of the bigger ships when they're shooting at you, but the point of this ship is not to be in range to hit, right? You're not going to be in an American cruiser style play because you're not going to be hiding behind, you know, rocks all the time. You can use island armor if you want to, but that's not really how it's meant to be played. You are designed to kite and harass, and it is brilliant at doing that. Now, in this match right here, this is either my first or second match in this ship. I think it's my first. I don't recall precisely. But jumping into this ship, I didn't feel like trying to spec out a captain that wasn't complete. And I put the captain that I use in my Minsk right now. So this has my gunboat skills set up in it. It's got the expert marksman, and it has concealment expert, and it has a couple other things. And you know, I put some modules on there. I can't remember what the upgrades were that I put on there, but I put some pretty standard light cruiser flags. Nothing crazy. And even using just a gunboat captain, it worked out pretty well because light cruisers and gunboat destroyers are not too terribly different in how they, you know, get their damage, right? So it worked out okay. And this particular captain is the Azure Lane Aurora captain, which is why my Russian commander is speaking Japanese, but it's okay. It doesn't really matter that much. So at this point in the game, you know, I've landed almost 100 hits. I got the first strike. I have some mediocre AA, but I mean, I'm not really being targeted by carrier, so I don't have to worry about that. My one plane kill is kind of understandable. I landed some pretty decent hits, you know, 108 total hits with 3 citadels, and I sank one of their battleships. I think it was the Gneisenau I sunk. And I was going to sink that fella that I just landed 3 hits on, the Miyoko. But I got hit by a Missouri that I wasn't seeing coming. I was actually trying to lie in wait for that Missouri around that corner there, and completely forgot that I was visible to the other Missouri on my far starboard side. That was my mistake. But this is a fun ship. I really do enjoy it, and I didn't think I was going to. The only Soviet ships that I've really enjoyed to this point are Kronstadt and Lazo. I have not enjoyed any other ones. Now Anshan I like, but it, you know, despite the fact that it's a Soviet ship, it's not actually a Soviet ship. It's Pan-Asian, it's Chinese, but it plays like a Soviet ship. But Lazo, if you like Kuznetsov, but you also like the play of American-style cruisers, and you kind of want to mishmash them together. Lazo is a good ship. It's fun to play. If you want something that's really, really stealthy and can jump in and out like a Huanghe or you know, a British cruiser, this one's not really for you. This one's not a pop in and out. This one is one that you want people to see you, so you can try to tempt them, try to kite them, get them to chase you while you dodge around and avoid their shots at range. I don't do a lot of that, you know. Everybody who knows me or watches my games realizes that I'm kind of an aggressive player, so I tend to kind of YOLO a little bit. I'm not super much, but I'm pretty aggressive, and I don't always play ships the way they're supposed to be done. Lazo, I'm not sure how it's supposed to be done besides being a kiter and a harasser at range, and it's fun to play in that style too if you get a team that works for you. I mean, you can use it to tempt a solo cruiser or a solo battleship away from a fleet, and then, you know, key in your carrier and say, hey, this guy's all alone by himself, he's focused on me, why don't you drop some AP bombs on him? I mean, this is a fun ship. I highly encourage you to do what you can to get RFS Lazo if you can. Granted, I know that this is not a lot of solid information. I'm not interested in giving you a bunch of stats. I just want you to have my impression. And my impression is Lazo is fun. It's the first ship that I've had real fun in, I think, outside of carrier play, since the 8.0 updates, the 0.8.0 updates. And of course, I've gotten the Soviet battleship early access missions. I've got the Vladivostok and the three others before that, and I don't like them as much. I'm not a big fan, but Lazo is fun. I can strongly recommend Lazo. You should really take your time to get it. That said, that's pretty much it for me on this video. I appreciate you guys coming out to check it out. Again, in conclusion, Lazo is fun. It's not exactly the easiest ship to play, but if you have an experience with the Kutuzov or any of the other quick light cruisers that are used to kite, like say the French ships or the Italian ships, then you should fit right in with this one. Anyway, have a good one.